Fanfic Corner, presented by Jennifer. Nala's Tears, Chapter 9. Okay, before we get started, I'd just like to say one thing, and that is if you have not yet seen the previous 9 videos for Nala's Tears, Prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, Chapter 7, and Chapter 8, I suggest you go view those now, as this is a continuation of that story. It was past midday, and Mom and I returned to Pride Rock. We spent most of the day together, scouting the Pride Land while Mom showed me how to properly stalk. It had lifted my spirits, and I forgot about the mess Simba and I had gotten into yesterday. While we were walking back to Pride Rock, Serafina glanced over her shoulder. I followed her gaze in the direction of the gorge. A cloud of smoke was rising from the gorge, and I wrinkled my nose in disgust. "Looks like the herd is on the move," Serafina commented before continuing on her way. After staring at the cloud of dust a moment longer, I eventually turned to follow my mother. Pride Rock was in view now, which I was grateful for because after a long day I was exhausted. The sun was sinking behind Pride Rock, bathing the land in a fiery orange color. It looked like the Pride lands were on fire. Serafina led the way up the slope to the ledge of Pride Rock. I trailed close behind, my paws weary from being out so long. We reached the top and saw that most of the Pride was gathered outside. Sarabi sat at the center of it all, a worried expression on her face. Dusk was upon the Pride lands now. "What's going on?" Serafina asked Jahai in a whisper. "Where's Mitu?" "Sleeping in the nest," Jahai answered quietly. I looked over to where Tama and Malka sat with their mother, Isha, and further away was Kalua with Bina. Everyone looked so worried. What was wrong? Then I realized Mufasa and Simba weren't here. Did something happen? "Mufasa should be back by now," Netta hissed to Dinku. They were both sisters of Sarabi. Their other sister, Dwala, gave them a fierce glare that was obviously meant to quiet them. Scar and Simba went on a walk, and Mufasa saw dust from the gorge. "It looks like there was a stampede, and they should all be back by now," Jahai explained to Serafina. My friends all looked worried, but I was downright scared. What would happen if either of them were hurt? Mom nuzzled me and kept me close. I envied Mitu for being asleep and oblivious. Sarabi suddenly stood up and peered at something over the ledge. "Jahai, come quick!" The queen leapt towards the slope that took her down towards the ground. My father was right behind her. Only now did I see what Sarabi did. A small shape was moving slowly towards Pride Rock. As the shape got closer, the bigger it got. Eventually, I could see it was Scar. He was dragging the lifeless body of Mufasa. Sarabi and Jahai made their way towards Scar, and they both aided him in carrying the fallen king. I peered over the edge with Tama and Kalua, while Tama and Kalua came to my side. All 3 of us stared, wide-eyed. None of us had ever seen a dead lion before. Slowly but surely, the group made its way to the base of Pride Rock in the shadows of the ledge. The rest of the Pride hurried down to meet them. I was among the lead, with Tama and Kalua at my flanks. Mufasa couldn't be dead. And where was Simba? Scar and Jahai, who were supporting most of Mufasa's weight, set him down at the center of the circle that had formed. Sarabi turned to Scar with a most serious expression on her face. She was attempting to stay calm and collected. "What happened, Scar? Where is Simba?" Sarabi's voice trembled over Simba's name. All eyes of the Pride were on Scar. They awaited an answer from the dark brown, black-maned lion. Simba's lithe uncle always gave me the creeps. I wasn't sure if it was because of the scar over his left eye, but something about him never had me at ease. And now he seemed to be enjoying the attention too much. "Oh, it was awful," Scar said, being too dramatic. "I turned my back on Simba for no longer than a heartbeat, and he ended up in the gorge. A stampede came, and I left to find Mufasa. He tried to save Simba, but I couldn't even find his body. Mufasa died trying to save the prince, and there was nothing I could do." Wails of despair rose up from the pride, and the lionesses lowered their heads. A gasp escaped my mouth. Simba was dead? We were only just playing yesterday. How could he be gone? That's the first time I cried. I staggered over to my mother and curled up at her paws. Serafina nuzzled me gently, and I could see a stray tear slip down her cheek. Night fell upon the Pride Lands, and the stars gleamed in the night sky. The moon hung suspended, sharp like a claw. Mufasa's death was a tragedy. Scar raised his voice so that he could be heard above the cries. But to lose Simba, who had barely begun to live. Sarabi was being comforted by her 3 sisters. Everyone was turning to their family and friends. Jahai walked over to me and Sarabi, a faraway look in his eyes. "For me," Scar bent his head, "it is a deep personal loss. So it was with a heavy heart that I assumed the throne. Yet, out of the ashes of this tragedy, we shall rise to greet the dawning of a new era." I could hear cackling laughter, the same kind that had been haunting my dreams. Hyenas? Over the horizon, a swarm of hyenas, black as night, came and surrounded Pride Rock. The lionesses lost their sadness and traded it for fear as they became surrounded. Their eyes glowed in the moonlight, seemingly eerie and fierce. I snuggled deeper between Serafina's legs, very scared, in which lion and hyena come together in a great and glorious future. Scar roared and the hyenas cackled, drowning out the sounds of protest from the pride. Scar was right. This was the dawn of a new era, but it would not be as great and glorious as he predicted.